All right. Well, today is all about the Tennessee Wildlife Officer Training Academy.
Yes.
We have a few folks here from class 005. So
a couple of graduates. Yeah. With honors.
They made it with honors.
You start out in the classroom learning your laws and your procedures, and you finally hit the mats and start doing defensive tactics. And by the end of it, you've gone through emergency vehicle operation on the truck and on the water in a boat. ATV training. There's a lot of different hats that you have to wear any given day. The Academy does a good job of letting you be aware that, hey, you got a lot of different holes to fill and a lot of different hats to wear.
Very broad.
That's right.
No 2 days are exactly the same.
That's right.
Hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
But that's part of the appeal to it as well.
Sure.
It's definitely not mundane.
There's a lot of games. There's a lot of tasks. There's a lot of learning. And there's very little time to recover in between. You got to have a mindset that, hey, I can push through just about anything. Building that camaraderie and having good leadership and those bonds, that helps when you start wondering if I have the mental strength and capacity to keep pushing through this. Your body can handle way more than you think it can, but how much can your mind control you?
Yeah.
How much do you let it? Every one of these people in this class have got some great strengths and are going to do great things. I think the driving and the shooting, you just put your pedal to the metal and go, right? And Taylor beat me in driving by several seconds. He just might have hit a cone or two, and
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This year, we celebrate the men and women of the TWRA responsible for 75 years of wildlife conservation. Now make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got a great show lined up for you today. Mr. Don King helping me co-host.
Yes, sir. You bet, Jason. Hey, thanks for the invite to do this today with our special guests, and we'll get to them in a minute.
Yeah.
But, hey, we got a radio station right here in Nashville that we're going to do a little shout-out to, WTN 99.7.
Yeah.
News Talk, and you can hear us there Saturdays at 10 a.m. Great time slot. So we appreciate them as well as our other radio partners across the state.
Definitely. Appreciate those folks. Appreciate our TV partners, and appreciate you guys out there watching, listening, and sharing our stuff. WTN's a great station. Get a lot of feedback from that
sure
show.
Do.
So appreciate everybody who tunes in on WTN. Current events coming up. I just want to remind people that we have a Waterfowl Field Day happening August the 3rd. It's at 8 to 12 at Bogota WMA. So come out and join us. We're going to have all kinds of fun stuff. We're going to actually be shooting a Wildcast with the Bogota Boys. Yeah. Which is one of our commissioners, Wally Childress. He hosts a podcast with his buddies there in Bogota. So it should be fun.
Yeah, it ought to be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, today is all about the Tennessee Wildlife Officer Training Academy.
Yes.
And we have a few folks here from class 005. So
a couple of graduates. Yeah. With honors.
They made it with honors. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But we have Nathan Wilhite and Taylor Winchell with us today, and we appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So it's been a whirlwind for you guys the last 20-something weeks and graduation this past week. So I thought, well, right on the tail end of that, we'll get you guys in here and celebrate and talk about it, and I appreciate y'all doing it.
Thank you.
So, Nathan, I know you've been on the show before, so go ahead and remind folks who you are, what you do, and then we'll jump over to Taylor.
Yes, sir. My name is Nathan Wilhite. I'm the Wildlife Manager, too, at Bridgestone Firestone WMA. So I manage that at Pea Ridge. And beyond that, I'm from Tennessee, from right outside of Memphis, Shelby County. Went to school at University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and spent time really kind of all across the country there for a little while before I came back home a few years ago to take on this job.
So you jumped into this job, what, about 3 years ago or so?
June of 2021. That's right.
Okay. Awesome.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you in Tennessee.
Hey, before we leave, Nathan,
you
got to attend the graduation and shoot a video of that, so you can see that on YouTube if you're interested in seeing what all goes on at one of the graduations. Nathan, man, he was like the top honoree. He got like Top Shot, Driving Award, the George Gregory Memorial Award, Gary McWhorter Academy Ace. I'm not even sure what that one is, but the list goes on and on. So, congrats on those awards.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into some of those today and learn how they earned those awards.
Yeah.
All right, Taylor, tell us about yourself.
Well, my name's Taylor Winchell. I'm a manager one on Catoosa and Skinner Mountain WMA. There in Morgan, Cumberland, and Fentress counties.
Okay, yeah.
From Northeast Tennessee, Sullivan County. Grew up there, went to school at UT Knoxville. Actually graduated with Wilhite here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So it's been pretty special getting to spend some quality time together over the past 6 months.
Quality.
But graduated from UT, went down to Georgia, worked with Georgia DNR for a little over 7 years before I was able to make my way back to Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Glad to be home.
Very cool. All right, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're back to Tennessee. I mean, I can't believe you go to Georgia, but
I'm glad as well. Got tired of seeing all the red. It's good to have orange back.
yeah. How about those Vols though?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A couple of weeks ago, the Vols brought home a national title in baseball, so let's give them a shout out right now.
That's right.
That's awesome.
That was the same night of graduation, so that was a heck of a
Big day.
That
You know?
was a
Big day.
We left there and said, "Let's go win a national title." Sure enough.
Yeah, they're
On a roll.
scaring me in that last inning though. Those wild balls, but anyway, those wild pitches. Well, this is great. So we got a couple Tennessee boys with us today, and this is fun conversation. What led you guys to this career? Did you grow up in the outdoors? Is this something you just live and breathe your whole life, or what led to this job opportunities?
Yeah, we could probably spend a long time. At least for me, I didn't. Like I said, I grew up in Memphis. You know, I had an uncle who took me duck hunting a lot in Arkansas, and I think that was my first love, passion. You know, and obviously grew up fishing and whatnot, but I think that love for waterfowl hunting really kind of sparked it all, and I enjoyed always being outside. Got to travel a little bit as a kid, and you know, always the favorite places are the places you could go see the elk and the bears and everything else. You know?
Yeah.
You know, and so it wasn't until college, and you know, there's an avenue or route to possibly pursue, and really getting involved with the Wildlife Society there at the University of Tennessee. Just help get your hands dirty, get your feet wet, and from there it just blossomed, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. So was it an officer? Was the officer route what you were looking for, or was it just the wildlife biology side?
No, to be honest with you, it was the manager side of things. You know, just being able to manage the land and try to help wildlife populations prosper. You know, fortunately, this agency, I don't know of many others that they require WMA managers to also be officers, and there's a variety of reasons for that. But I think it just helps really in every way, shape, or form, whether that's attention to detail to really being able to deal with anything that may arise on a 20,000 acre property. And,
Right.
For Taylor, 100,000 acres.
Yeah, so Catoosa is huge. And
It is,
You're going to be out there. So obviously you went through the academy and graduated and now an officer, but was that your route? Is that the direction you wanted to go?
Would mirror Nathan here. I don't know that was necessarily the intent, but I sure am glad I'm where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Just growing up, spent a lot of time outside, camping, hiking, biking, pretty much anything that was outside. A lot of fishing, and had some very important members of my life that got me into fishing and outside. And then really got more into hunting as I got older and had friends that did it and wanted to be a part of that as well. But I do remember I was in middle school. My family took a trip out west and visited a lot of the national parks.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
And there was, throughout that trip, I always had an interest in the outdoors and everything, but being out there, I was like, I'm going to work outside. And yeah, it's stuck since then. Veered a little bit coming into college, actually pursued nursing. That did not last very long. Quickly went over to the ag campus.
Yeah.
Some of those skills
Became
kind of come
wildlife.
in handy, though, I'm sure.
He would have made a great nurse.
First aid, I bet you didn't have any trouble placing the tourniquets and stuff like that in the training.
I think I handled that pretty well,
Yeah,
and we
I
had
bet so.
plenty of repetition with that too. So came natural.
Yeah. Well, speaking of tourniquets, I mean, you guys go through all kinds of stuff in the academy, and you have to I mean, I've been in some of y'all's classes where you crank those things down just to know how it's going to feel, how tight you need to get them. You get sprayed with pepper spray or mace or whatever you want to call it. I mean, you have to go through all this stuff. I mean, just speak on that a little bit. I mean, that's a challenge sometimes to go through some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a mental and physical side to all those things, and it's funny you bring up the pepper spray. I think Taylor and I were, probably some of the worst reactions to it. I love spicy food, but flaming hot Cheetos will make me start tearing up, and so.
Spicy doesn't cover how hot that is.
I left that day thinking I'm not even putting that on my belt,
debilitating.
Yeah.
That's right. But all of those things, something like that, you do it for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And you just know it's preparation for hopefully something that never comes, but if so, you're ready for it. And so if you have to put that tourniquet on, you're absolutely right. We've got instructors coming around, they're checking that thing and they're making sure that it's cranked down because you got to stop bleeding.
Yeah.
Potentially fatal bleeding. And if you're going to pepper spray somebody, you better know exactly what you're doing to them. And so all those things, and everything else that we did throughout that time, it's hard to realize while you're doing it, the value of it. But then you look back and you think,
made sense.
That's right.
Yeah.
All made sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, you think about a wildlife officer, you think, well, we're going to be out checking hunter and fishermen, and just be out in the woods. But I mean, you could come across anything, and you guys are equipped now, just like a police officer or even a paramedic in some cases, how to take care of an issue or help with any way you can. Right.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were actually discussing that on the ride here this morning. It's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Glad we're here. Glad we were able to take that oath and swear in. But yeah, we're out there to help them as much as we can as well, and got to be prepared to do it.
Yeah.
That depth of training too. I mean, 23 weeks, right? You guys were there 23 Saturdays, as you said. You got to go home and visit a little bit, just and rest up and get ready for the next week's worth of training. Man, that's. But the things that they put you guys through, it's just, I mean, I know there's a lot of training for water.
That's
for, taking care of the boat, for, I mean, just, any and all things that you may come across.
It's things that interacting with game wardens and whatnot, where that's part of the job, right? And that's part of the reason people come up and say they want to be a game warden.
Right.
But then you go through something like that and you start out in the classroom learning your laws and your procedures, and you finally hit the mats and start doing defensive tactics. And by the end of it, you've gone through emergency vehicle operation on the truck, and on the water in a boat.
Right.
And ATV training, and so there's a lot of different hats that you have to wear any given day. And, the Academy does a good job of really letting you be aware that, hey, you got a lot of different holes to fill and a lot of different hats to wear. And
very broad.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's appealing to a lot of folks, though, too.
It is.
Yeah.
No 2 days are exactly the same.
That's right.
That's hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
But that's part of the appeal to it as well.
Sure.
It's definitely not mundane.
Yeah. Well, what's some of the first thoughts that come to your head when somebody asks about the Academy? What's some of the first things that you think about? Maybe someone asks you, what was it like, or if I was thinking about going through that or wanting to pursue that, what's some of the first things that pops in your head that you'd want to share with somebody?
First thing that comes to my mind is you better want it. You're not going to half-heartedly just dip your toes in.
Right.
Or it's coming for you. You're going to get washed out. Which we didn't have any of that, and everybody was dedicated. But thankfully, for me, I had some friends that had already gone through other classes, and they can tell you about it and what it's like and what to expect. But that doesn't really do it justice. It's just something you've got to experience to really know what it's like. But there's definitely some strong bonds made.
Yeah, definitely.
And you talk about washouts too. I know in years past, there've been some people who decided somewhere in that training period that, this, I thought it was, but this is not for me, and But that says a lot for your class that everybody made it all the way
Everybody
through.
made it through, which I would say I could see potential for people to quit.
Yeah.
But some of that also would potentially be a very responsible decision of if they get into something and they realize, I don't know if I'll be able to do this when the time comes, if the
Right.
time comes, then that would put everybody at risk. And
Yeah.
And it says a lot for the other class members too, pulling together and forming that team, that bond that pulls everybody along.
That's exactly right.
When you see somebody that's struggling a little bit, you can talk them up.
And I'd say there was a time where everybody struggled at one point or another.
I'm sure, yeah.
So that definitely helps pull people through, and you want to be there for each other.
Yeah.
I think, getting back to your question, Jason, from, mentality is such a huge aspect of it. There's a lot of games, right? We call them games. There's a lot of task. There's a lot of learning, and there's very little time to recover in between, right? And so, if this is something you're thinking about doing in the future, you got to have a mindset that, hey, I can push through just about anything. And to add on to what Taylor and Dawn were just saying, building that camaraderie and having good leadership and those bonds, that helps.
Yeah.
Right? It helps when you start wondering if I have the mental strength and capacity to keep pushing through this. Do I want to do any more burpees? But you see the other 18 sitting there and they're doing them. So yeah, for me, it's all, your body can handle way more than you think it can, but how much can your mind control you?
Yeah.
How much do you let it?
Definitely. I can see that. Your mind just wants to stop. You feel it, you want to stop. But
Self-preservation.
yeah, definitely. Well, one thing that you won't forget, or something that surprised you throughout your time there at the academy.
The first thing that I'm not going to forget is we had a pretty significant snowstorm come through night one.
Night one.
Yes.
Okay.
We got there, and it was cold, and it was getting colder.
Tell them the date. I know you remember the date.
January 14th. Show up between 3:45 and 4. But we went into the classroom and started our journey of night one, and within hours it was really cold, pouring snow, and I think we ended up with about 12 inches on the ground. Wow. And went sub-zero.
That was the stretch where it stayed that way for like
it
a
was
week
very
or 10
cold
days,
for
right?
Hit the whole state. That's right.
many days. Keeping water running was an issue.
Yeah.
I will say we did pretty well, or the instructors and staff did a pretty good job of keeping the water on and the heat on. But some of our various duties of cleaning the cabins regularly involved picking a bath mat up and hanging it over the shower rod there. And ours was frozen to the floor, stiff as a board. And I think some of the cabins had some ice on the floor as well.
That's pretty cold right there.
Yeah. Wow.
But, yes.
Mm-hmm. So you're out in those elements too. I mean, I had to get out there and do.
We were outside. I think some of it became maybe a bit of a safety issue when we were looking at negatives, that we were bundled up, but exercise does an incredible job of warming the body up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we had to do that. But we also were in the gym facility there a good bit during that time as well.
Yeah. What about you, Nathan? What stands out?
I don't know if there's anything, one story that sticks out or that I won't forget, but, like I said, we had some really good training. I think of some of the weeks we did, whether it's vehicle stops or big game enforcement and, BUI. There's a lot of things that, the mistakes you make at the time, you want to punch yourself in the gut, because I made that mistake. But at the same time, you see the value of doing that training and realizing that, hey,
making that mistake.
This is the place to make it.
This is the time.
Exactly.
Right. That's right. And so, like I said, I don't necessarily know that I recall, any one instance, but I guarantee you there are habits that I have now that, are direct reflections of, oh, I missed that on that vehicle stop, or I could have done this, this dialogue a little better, right? So
Yeah. Well, that's neat. Yeah, I mean,
Hey, thinking back to you guys have reached this point in your careers now and graduated, and how would you counsel, say, a guy or a gal that's about to graduate high school and thinking about doing this? How would you maybe prepare them for thinking ahead to school and selecting a path through college to accomplish this?
Well, I'd say that's an interesting point in anybody's life, especially if they're going to college, getting away from home. But keep your nose clean.
Yeah.
Make good decisions. Get involved.
I think
intern
you
opportunities.
The Wildlife Society, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Which Nathan here was very involved in the Wildlife Society, which is a great opportunity, but volunteer.
Yeah.
Go out and ask if you can help with things. Be around it. See it and see the different aspects of the job, so that you're interested in all of it.
mm-hmm.
And that's great advice, especially from kind of the professional side. I'll just, to add on to that, if you don't have a lot of experience in the outdoors, right? Whether that's just going in the woods and not getting lost, to knowing where to hang a deer stand, right? Or what's the best bait to be throwing today, right? Those types of things are invaluable. When you're talking about becoming a game warden one day.
Those are the questions they ask you.
That's right. Well, and you have to be able to speak the language. You've got to be able to understand, what's being asked of you, and and carry on that conversation.
Yeah.
And so, it tends to be that a lot of folks have that background, but for those that don't, that's going to be one of the first questions I ask. Well, how much time do you spend in the woods? Right, because you probably need to be spending more.
That's changed for a lot of generations.
That's right.
As we move through the years. These generations that are coming along don't get outdoors as much. So.
The good thing is, and y'all are well aware of this, there has never been more of a push for recruitment and retention and all the programs that this agency's putting together in that regard. And so, there's those barriers to entry should be getting smaller and smaller.
Well, and to piggyback off Don's question, I feel like being physically prepared too. Be thinking about that through college, that I need to keep physically fit, because I mean that was a challenge, I'm sure, for many of you out there.
If not, they'll wake you up.
Yeah,
you'll get fit.
That's right.
Go ahead and be thinking about that.
Oh, absolutely. I know for especially those first months. I mean, you could train for it. I don't know if you could push yourself as hard when you've got the group there and instructors that are able to push you further. But definitely preparing the body, the joints.
Yeah.
Not everybody that went through the academy just graduated college. They've got a few years under them. But protecting yourself. I know there were thoughts where early on I thought, I don't know if my knees can take this anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we had some, we had a great class, and I wish they could all be here to speak for themselves, but there's a few of them with torn hamstrings and quads and
shoulders,
shoulder ligaments and all that kind of stuff. And, they're still doing the running, they're still swimming. They're still pushing through all those challenges. And, so you're absolutely right. The physical fitness side of things is paramount. And, anybody can get there, right? Everybody started at some point back in January, and some people started in a better spot than others. But everybody passed that fitness test. Everybody did it twice, so
early on too.
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's jump into the awards before we run out of time. I want to just touch on a few of these things, and maybe we'll start with Taylor, class president. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What did that feel like to be named class president from your peers? And tell us about you had the physical fitness award and the leadership award. So tell us about some of that.
Oh, it's always an honor when your peers elect you to to that kind of position or anything. I had told them that I hope I meant half as much to them as they meant to me. But yeah, it's just a huge honor that they thought of me in that manner.
Yeah, that's
and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Got to yank the chain on them a few times, mess with them a little bit. I think maybe it was earned sometimes. But yeah, anytime your peers reflect on you in that manner, it's humbling, that's for sure.
That's good.
Definitely. So physical fitness and leadership. Yeah, I guess leadership comes right along with class president, but I guess you stood out in the physical side, I guess, throughout this academy.
I don't know how much I stood out versus the others. I mean, we were all doing the same thing, but being a little older than some of these guys that came through, and gal, I hadn't been a part of a sports team in quite a while, and always enjoyed the camaraderie and the physical side of it, that I thought, man, this is a great opportunity for somebody to push me other than myself in these physical challenges and aspects of the academy, that I just wanted to make the most out of it and take advantage when it was there. So
nice.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Cool. Nathan, when they started announcing the awards, you just kept walking up. It's like, so we had Top Shot, we had driving, the George Gregory Gary McWhorter Award, and then the Academy Ace. So just walk us through a few of those, and what were some of those about? And I mean, some of them are pretty obvious, but what was it like to receive those?
I think taking a step back, everything we did in some way, shape, or form was a competition, right? And whether that was something that we put on ourselves as a class, or instructors tried to put on it, and
Maybe within one's competitive self.
right, and so there's a lot of other things that we did throughout this, these last 6 months that that factor in, and all of them, in some way, shape, or form, everybody excelled, right? And just so happened that some of them that I excelled in are the ones that we decided to honor with a plaque. But every one of these people in this class have got some great strengths and are going to do great things. In general, I think the driving and the shooting, those are just, you just put your pedal to the metal and go, right? And I absolutely have a competitive streak, but so does everybody else. Taylor beat me in driving by several seconds. He just might have hit a cone or two, and cones happen to be trees.
So those don't count, huh?
There's a fine line to walk there. In general, the ACE award is kind of a combination of everything, culmination of it, and I don't necessarily look at that as as anything more than, hey, I want to be prepared, and I hope that everybody in the class knows if they ever needed me, and I hope that they're thinking about it the same way, that I'm going to be prepared and ready if they ever need that.
Yeah.
And so, it's nice to hear your name called. I'd turn all those in just to make sure I had that badge and have that behind me and move on.
Yeah.
You earned all those.
Well, this has been great. I appreciate you guys coming in and sharing with us. Folks out there are looking to pursue this career, and so this helps them learn a little bit and think about what the next steps are.
Little inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
I'd encourage them, call your county officer, go up to the local WMA and, ask questions, get involved, figure out how you
volunteer, like you said.
Right.
There's always work to be done up there.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Class 006 will be here before you know it. So visit our website, tnwildlife.org. There's great information there about recruiting and becoming an officer. So check that out. Guys, thank you. And thank you for all the hard work y'all do, and before and now as officers, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Appreciate y'all having us.
Thank
Be
you.
safe out there.
Appreciate it.
All right. This is Tennessee Wildcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Join us as we celebrate 75 years of conservation in our great state. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.